Welcome to You, Math and Me. I'm George Randall, and today we're going to talk about combining like terms. Before I get started, though, I'd like a little shout out for my daughter who turns 35 today, Elise Randall. Anyway, again, combining like terms, and what we're looking at today is what's called 2x and 3x. Okay, those are terms. They could also look like this. 2x squared and 7x squared. And those would be like terms because, again, we have coefficients of 2 and 7, and then the x is taken to the second power in both cases. And what do I mean by combining like terms? Well, we take, for example, in the first one, we take 2x plus 3x. We take the coefficients, 2 plus 3 times x. We add, again, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, what's in parentheses, 2 plus 3 multiplied by x, and we get 5x. There is no numeric answer, okay? Now I have a question for you. Looking at x times 2 times y and 3x, or 3 times x times y, are they the same terms? Yes or no? Well, they really are because of the commutative property of multiplication, where if we look at this right here, we have what's called A times B times C equals C times B times A. Okay? So even though these are not in the same order, because of the multiplication commutative property, we can rewrite 2x, or 2 times x, times y, and 3 times x times y. Again, we would combine the coefficients and get 5 times x times y. Now, why did we do all of that? Because I have some algebra students who are working on problems such as this one. And this one is what's called a linear equation, okay? And we're solving for the variable r. And as you can see, we've got variables on both sides of this equation. Now, we're going to rewrite this since we no longer need any of this. And now we're going to have what's called a numeric answer. So let's rewrite that. 6 plus, in this case, 6r plus 7 equals 13 plus 7r. Okay? And we have to combine like terms. We have a plus 7 over here and a plus 6r over here. 7r and a 6r. Now, what we have to do, and I keep telling you about how subtraction and addition are cousins. We've got to get that 7r over here. And we undo addition by subtraction. Whatever we do to one side of the equal sign, we must do to the other. So we'll subtract 7r over here. That cancels itself out. We're left with 13. On this side, we have 6, we're just working with the coefficients, and minus 7. So that would be a minus 1r plus 7 equals 13. Got to get these terms alike. Again, we have a plus. Undo by doing 7. We're left with a negative 1r. This cancels itself out. Equals 6. This says 1 times r. That's multiplication. How do we undo multiplication? We divide by a negative 1. Whatever we do to one side of the equal sign, we must do to the other. We divide by a negative 1. And we're left with r. And again, a positive divided by a negative is a positive 6. So r in this equation that we started out with originally is 6. It is imperative that we check our answers. Okay? So again, we said that r equals 6. So, wherever there's an r in the original equation, we're going to put a 6. Okay? So we got 6 times 6, 7 times 6. Okay? Because we have to determine if that statement is true. 6 times 6, 36. Again, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So my multiplication was first on this side, and on this side, 7 times 6 is 42. Okay. And I'm sorry, 6 was a negative 6. Correct? Yes. Okay. R was a negative 6. So we have a negative 36 plus 7, that's negative 29. And on this side, we have negative 42 plus 13, and that's a negative 29. Again, R equals negative 6. Okay. Let's run through another one. And we have minus 7x minus 3x plus 2 equals minus 8x minus 8. Okay. Again, we got to look at these terms. There are several terms that are alike. First thing we're going to do is combine these two. That is a negative 7x, negative 3x. That equals negative 10x. Plus 2 equals minus 8x. Minus 8. Okay? Now, we've got to bring this over to here. That says subtraction. We're going to add it. Whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other. Draw a line. This is canceled. We're left with minus 8. Over here, minus 2x plus 2 equals. We've got to get these two together. Addition, we're going to subtract 2. And again, whatever we do to one side of the equal sign, we must do to the other. And that says minus 2, this cancels itself out, equals minus 10. How do we undo multiplication? We divide by negative 2. We're left with x. Over here we divide by negative 2, and x equals 5. All right, so if x equals 5, we got negative 7 times 5 is a negative 35. And negative 3 times 5 is a negative 15. And that two combined is 50, or negative 50. Let's put it over here. Plus 2 is negative 48. That's the left side. Now we have 5 times 8, which is a negative 40. Subtract a positive 8. When you subtract, you change the sign to a negative 8 and add it. 48 equals 48. Negative 48. Okay. We've solved two equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign. When we come back, we're going to talk about some more equations. So again, thank you, and if you have any questions, you can reach me at GER or gerandall22@gmail.com. Thank you. We'll be right back. Welcome back to You, Math, and Me. And we're going to look at two more linear equations where the variables are on both sides of the equal sign. And again, we've got to combine like terms. And in order to get this 2x over here, and this is a positive 2x, we've got to subtract. And whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other. And we draw a line. And what happens? That's gone. We're left with 6. And on this side, we got a positive and a negative. We have no x's. So when we get something like this, there is no solution. And your answer would be no solution. So remember that. There are going to be times when there'll be no solution to your variable equation or your linear equation. Now, let's look at one more. And we'll bring this up higher so you can see it. 7g plus 14 minus 5g equals minus 8. Okay. Make sure we get that correct. Okay. Now, again, we've got to combine like terms. We've got a 7 minus 5. So that's 2g, right? Plus 14 equals minus 8. We have to get these terms together, or coefficients. We subtract 14, and whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other. Adding down, we got 2g. This cancels itself out, and that's minus 22. How do we undo multiplication? We divide by 2. G equals, and again we divide by 2 on this side, a negative 11. And again, negative 11 times 2 is a negative 22, plus 14, that's a negative 8 equals a negative 8. We have true statements. Okay. Enough about that solving linear equations. What I do want to speak to you about briefly is mathematics, and everyone does not have to be a mathematician, but careers. Can I spell? Related to mathematics. And what I'm going to do here is just, as I look at this, even if you just had an undergraduate degree, there are many jobs at entry-level positions that you could have a starting salary of 6 figures. Now, of course, a mathematician starts at $101,000. An actuary, gentleman who, does all the figures relating to insurance policies and what have you. He starts out at $102,000. The list is long. I want you to research some interests that you may have, because just about 98% of everything we do is related to math. So it is imperative that you look up things like a statistician, operations research manager, budget analyst. Budget analyst starts out at $76,000. An insurance underwriter, $69,000. And of course, most of the things today are related to programmers, computer programmers, or analysis. That's about $70,000, and the list is long. Well, today we're going to cut it short because when I come back next week, we're going to be talking about solving equations called systems of equations, where it'll look something like this. 6x plus 7y equals 22. 7x subtract 7y equals 40. I have several students that are working on problems like this. And there are 3 ways to solve them. It's called substitution, elimination, and graphing. We'll talk more about that next time. But again, you can reach me at gerandall22@gmail.com. I want to thank you, and we'll see you next time.